It's Tuesday, May 3rd. This is episode 150 of the Token CEO podcast. We are presented by Sports Research. Beach season, I would say, is here. If it's 60 degrees in Minnesota, which is what Sam told us today, it's got to be about 100 degrees everywhere else. Sports Research is the company that can help you get ready to be beach ready. If you go to sportsresearch.com, you can get a bunch of stuff. You can get collagen, you can get vitamins, you can get waist trimmers, you can get an at-home workout kit, or you can get Sweet Sweat. So Sweet Sweat is a stick that you rub on the troubled areas of your body, and then it helps improve circulation, assist in recovery, and leaves you dripping in sweat. Right now, Sports Research is giving away 150 sticks of Sweet Sweat. If you go to sportsresearch.com and use code NRC, you can get yourself a free Sweet Sweat stick. If you are not interested in that, you can just go to sportsresearch.com, use code TOKEN, and get 30% off your order. Okay, so this episode is about senior week. So we have 3 college seniors joining us, 3 women, Claire, Sam, and Sommer. Claire, Sam, and Sommer are 3 women who have participated in our Work Like a Girl program. And what we're going to talk about is what college was like during a pandemic, what's next for them, how they feel about their future, and how they think about being a woman and tackling what's next. For anybody who's wondering, the Viceroy program is a program, this is a Paul Gulzinski brainchild. It's a program we really put gasoline on in 2016. It's been a huge advantage for us. We have over 1,000 college kids that work for Barstool Sports. They attend schools at all different types of universities, ACC, SEC, NESCAC, Pac-12, Big Ten, like you name it. These guys run our college social accounts. We're making new social accounts by the minute, so they could run them by sector or by vertical or by league or division. It's an awesome experience. It's really been an incredible program. One of the interesting things that happens to me anyways is I get hit up by like all the hedge fund set being like, hey, can my son or my daughter have an internship? And I'm like, why would I hire your kid who isn't really, who may be a fan of Barstool Sports, but isn't that interested in Barstool Sports in terms of working, when I have 1,000 kids, and it's actually going to be even more than 1,000 kids by next year, who have worked with us for 4 years. They get us, they know us, they make us better, and they get college credits, and they get great experience that helps them set themselves up for their career. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Senior spring.
Oh no, don't say that.
Are you so stressed? What do you feel? What's the feeling?
I had an exam this morning. I have one at 2, and then I walk on Friday. So that's where we're at.
I can't believe it's already graduation. Your parents pay so much money, and it's like the school year ends in like January. All right, so ladies, let's introduce you before we start this thing. You want to do that? Who you are, where you go to school, and what you're going to do next.
I'll start. Hi, my name is Sommer. I went to ASU and I was studying business marketing with a minor in communications. My next step is hopefully to do PR and influencer marketing.
Okay, great. Do you have a job?
Not currently.
Does anyone in your friend group have a job?
Yes.
Like what
They are
percentage?
oriented. I would say 25% of my friends have a job right now just because they're still trying to focus on school because, school in a pandemic is a little bit more difficult.
Yep, for sure. All right, that's great. Sommer, welcome.
Thank you.
Who's next?
I can go. Hi, my name is Sam. I go to the University of Minnesota. I study business sociology with a minor in business law. And what is next for me? I think law school. This whole job search has been a little bit too stressful, which just put my law school track a little bit faster than I wanted, but I'm happy to do so.
That's great. That's great. And what's the temperature right now in Minnesota?
Oh, actually, it's really nice. It's
like what, like 30?
60 degrees.
Really?
Yesterday was like
right up.
The hottest it's been.
Okay. Are you from Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay. That's amazing. Okay. And last but not least.
Hi, my name is Claire. I'm a current senior at the University of South Carolina. I study public health with a minor in advertising and public relations. And I recently accepted a job offer with the University of Massachusetts Medical School as a digital strategist.
Great.
So it has nothing to do with public health, and that's okay.
And how'd you get the job?
Um, a lot of my experience in the interview came from, being a viceroy. So, of course, like I'm a viceroy with Barstool, South Carolina and South Carolina Chicks. So the experience I got through the program really helped me find what I like to do. I realized I didn't really like public health, and it just helped me jumpstart this idea that I wanted to do something else with my life. And so I'm very thankful for that.
That's awesome. All right. So, ladies, what's the mood for seniors right now? I know you guys are supposed to ask me questions according to Frankie, but we just don't follow the rules around here. All right. So, what's the mood in college? Like my senior spring, it was just a big party and people were stressed about finding jobs. I think there was like that moment of relief when you found a job. Most people had jobs. The economy was great when I graduated. But what's the mood right now?
I think everyone is a little bit burnt out just from dealing with online schooling for the last year and a half. A lot of uncertainty because a lot of people lost their internships last summer. And because of that, we already lack experience going into the workforce as is. And, with the lack of internship or it being canceled, it makes us feel like we're a little bit behind schedule. And it's just a lot of pressure due to that uncertainty.
Yeah. And do you think it's pushing things back? Like, will people graduate and then do internships? Like, what do you think happens? What do you think happens with that?
I think we're overcompensating. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
I think
go
we're
ahead.
overcompensating because it's like, since we don't have that, we didn't get that opportunity. Now we're graduating college with debt, but now we're going into these unpaid internships or very entry level positions that we might be a little bit overqualified for. Not saying that that's the case for all, but I feel like we're settling less than what we should just because of that fear. And
It's kind of like you guys lost the entry ramp to the highway. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being very panicked to have a job when I graduated. I didn't have any money. I had student loans and I was like, I gotta get, my parents were like, you're on your own. But you guys lost that. I mean, I got a job out of an internship, like, which I think is what you guys are mostly banking on, at least the experience of the internship, or hopefully that place turns into a job. Claire, it's interesting that that you were able to use your Viceroy experience to parlay into a gig. Like, so talk a little bit about that. I actually think that's interesting for folks.
Yeah, so I got a job as a digital strategist. I am expected to use graphic design skills, code. I already knew how to code before then just because I thought it would be fun to do when I was in high school and I wanted a really nice Tumblr theme. So I was able to parlay that into an actual skill. And then the actual hard skills that I got as a viceroy were graphic design, editing, data analytics. So you can spin that on your resume and just kind of market yourself like, hey, I run this account and it has like X amount of followers and this is our growth. So I was able to do that. I just realized I didn't want to go to medical school. And I was like, okay, like what can I do to kind of get myself out of that hole and get myself out of this whole STEM major burnout I was feeling. And I realized I really liked being in the Viceroy program, and my other Viceroys on the account were really into graphic design, were really into video editing. And I looked at myself and I was like, I need to get into that. So that way, that's a skill that I have. And so that's kind of how I've kind of grown in the program.
You guys both said burnout. Like, Summer, are you burnt out? Are people burnt out?
Absolutely. The senior burnout is real. It is a real thing. I didn't believe it, all through college, but it definitely is. You just feel a little bit less motivated than you have the rest of your career in college, and you're feeling a little bit more frustrated just because you're trying to take in all the information that you can. But at the same time, you also feel a little bit limited because you are mostly teaching yourself, even if your school does have, some in-person courses. A lot of the majority of it is online, so you are teaching yourself. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't always know the best way to teach myself. And you start trying all these different methods that you see online, all these different studying methods and everything, but it all comes back to the same kind of diligence that you give yourself. So.
And do you feel like, so did people like, are you guys allowed to gather? Like, do you feel like you got robbed on, like, I mean, everyone slacked off senior spring. Like, I feel like all anyone did was just party 24/7. But like, is it like that now? Are you allowed to? I mean, I was reading that there's fines and you can get expelled, and obviously,
there's definitely, if you get in trouble, so frats only allowed to have like 50 people at a gathering. And if they do have more than that and they get caught by, 10 PPD or ASU, then they do get fined for that, unfortunately. Even if they do take the correct safety measures to make sure that everybody is okay and everybody's safe, you still get fined. If you get in trouble off campus for being somewhere without a mask or get caught doing something, you do get in trouble with the school also. So it is a little bit more, you have that in the back of your mind, so you almost feel limited even if you are being safe about your surroundings with this pandemic. But you definitely feel like you're just missing out on just a little something that you feel like everybody else has had.
Yeah, it's kind of like, in addition to the academic pressure of college, like there's a lot of academic pressure, and you three are obviously three very smart, motivated women. And you want to do well, obviously, and you want to get good grades, and you want something to show for the investment of the time. But it's almost as though college became very serious for you, and it's like the intellectual experience, like the academic experience of discourse and dialogue, it like changes when everybody's on Zoom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, how do you feel about that? Like, when you look back on your college years, you don't have a lot of perspective right now because you're in it, but will this be what you remember, or will you remember life before this?
I feel like I'm going to attempt to remember kind of freshman and sophomore year as like a really fun time. We're a big party school, so that was like what I was doing freshman and sophomore year. And then junior year hit and I was like, what am I going to do? And then the pandemic hit and we were all inside, and I kind of missed that social interaction. I feel like you can talk to people on Zoom, but you don't get that same like banter that you would in a classroom. So I feel like if I ever have kids someday, I'm going to tell them like, this is what life was. Be grateful.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm going to try to remember the good times.
Yeah.
Because you pay way too much money to just learn from a PowerPoint. But.
Yeah, it's like if you're doing Zoom school, you could just do that through Google. What's the job that everybody's going for? Like, Summer, you talk about influencer marketing. Like, what's the, like, if another person tells me they're going to get a job doing blank, what is it?
Honestly, everybody seems to be taking the business route, and a lot of that seems to be marketing, just because a lot of people that I've talked to don't know exactly what they want to do. Their parents kind of pushed them into college and they kind of made the most out of it, and decided to go the business route and then marketing route. So a lot of people are going to be going into marketing, which is definitely going to make getting a job a little bit more difficult. But gotta have that competitive edge. But on top of everything else that you already have to keep in mind. But everybody does seem to be going into marketing and digital marketing and everything else.
Yeah.
So
And then Sam, I like that this is accelerating your higher education. You're like, all right, job market looking a little bleak. May as well just like bang out another 2 years of school or 4 years of school. Like, talk a little bit about that decision.
Right. So law school was always on my mind. I always knew I was going to pursue a higher education. But after the last year and a half, I felt really burnt out, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll take a year to myself, maybe just enjoy it, maybe
travel the world.
Travel, yes, the fresh out of college, that mindset. But a lot of my friends actually had a job lined up right after their internship, because they went with a lot of my friends went into accounting, so they're all headed out to the big 4 accounting firms. Amazing for them. I'm so excited, but I was like, I don't have that same luxury here. Sociology major, I was like, I need a little bit to get me.
I was a sociology major. Yeah, you need all the help you can get.
So I was like, that is going to be my law school right away. Yeah. I felt like with so much uncertainty, as I was talking about, I needed some stability, and I knew that my higher education would do that for me.
Yep, that's great. What questions you guys have for me?
I have a question for you that I've actually been really interested in. What is your leadership style?
Ooh, all right. I don't know. This is a good question for our group. I like to work. I'm very hands-on. I have a lot of energy. And I like to do things. I kind of think about everything like a team, so that everybody's on the team. You should have a big mission. There should be, you should have a vision for this place you want to get to. And then I think I put a lot of pressure on myself and on people to get there. Like, what are we doing? How are we doing? Have we thought about this? Have we thought about that? I would say I'm very communicative. And I think being a good communicator can help in leadership, certainly. And then I also try to be pretty consistent, where, that I try to be consistent, and I also really try to keep my eye on the prize of like, where are we trying to get to? One of the things that I don't like is when I'm in groups where there are other leaders. I never liked this, even in school, where you're just doing things for the sake of doing things, and you don't know why people are doing things. And then when you ask the question of like, why are we doing this? There isn't really a good answer. So I always wanted for myself to be really clear on where we're going to and how we're going to move forward. I think I'm a good listener. I really am interested I'm interested in people. I think you kind of get that from a sociology background, like Sam, like the study of groups, like people bring different things to the table, and I like that. I don't like being managed up to, like I don't like feeling like I don't really understand how the sausage is getting made. So that would be my answer, Summer. What would you say, Frankie? Would you add to that?
Yeah, I'd say that you run us like a sports team, where you give us a long leash to run and do our thing, but you'll also like won't be afraid to yank on it when things are getting out of line. But then we're also expected, like any sports team, if you want to be great, you have to do things outside of work to put that into your work to make it better. So it's kind of like we're expected to do a normal job, but in order to be great, you have to do things on top of that. But that's just from, I think that's just from your sports experience, honestly. I think that's just like how you are.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny. I had someone criticize me once and say that I think Jordan's on. Where someone said that I always moved the goalpost.
Yeah.
And I do think that I always move the goalpost. It's not that the goal changes. It's just that when I think we're good, I'm like, ooh, let's like go a little further, or how far can we push this thing? And I always liked that, because I like having a goal that's just out of reach. And I think that that's good in your life to have a goal that's out of reach. So whether it's like going to law school, or, Claire, you had the realization of like, I don't want to be a doctor. Like, that's okay. You're like, I want to work in digital. You and Summer want to work in digital marketing, or in marketing, really. Like having a goal of like, ooh, I want to get to this next place. Like you wanted Claire to learn design and video editing. Like that's awesome. That was a little out of reach for you probably a year ago, and now it's like I did it, and you got a job because of it. So that's what I would say. That's a super long-winded answer, Summer. But the other thing I would say that I think is really important for your group is that you don't have to have it all figured out right now. And sometimes that first job, like Claire, you're going to go to UMass. It might suck. You might be like, this is the worst job I've ever taken. This is so dumb. I hate it. But it's a job. Or Sam, you're going to be like, sign up for law school. And you get there, and things are never really, I think, what you always expect them to be when you arrive. And still being able to take the most out of that and learn from it, and then parlay that into something new for yourself, I think is the best thing. Like, I always felt like in my career, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I was particularly qualified for. I felt like remorse, a little bit of remorse, like I didn't do all the classes I should have done, or I should have been a different major, or I should have had more internships, and then it was kind of like, all right, I just needed to get a foot in the door somewhere. And then once I got that foot somewhere, then I could figure out the next place and the next place and the next place. So not putting too much pressure on yourselves to look so far out, I also think is a big relief. Like if you look at Frankie, like Frankie worked at a college, like she just had hustle and grit and was like, I want a job a job doing something else than this. And she's just going to try and try and try and try. And sometimes I think leapfrogging your way through your career takes the pressure off you. And it also makes it feel a little bit safer and more in control, you know?
With an econ degree.
With an econ degree.
With an economics degree.
You're probably really putting that to use right now.
With you, I do, for sure.
All right,
and on your show.
good.
Everywhere else, probably not that much,
Yeah, that's
but
all
here I
right.
do. For
Thanks,
you.
Frankie.
You're welcome.
Who else has a question? What else you guys got?
Yeah, I do. So I know it's getting a lot better. The gender gap in, the sports industry is getting a lot better, but, in such
Is
a
it?
male right. So in such a male dominant industry, how did you overcome the gender adversity?
Do you guys feel like you have gender adversity?
Yes.
You do?
Mhm.
So
Especially
wait,
when
let's
I was
pause there.
student.
What do you think the gender adversity is right now for you?
I want to go into business and sports law. That's my main focus. And I feel like they don't take us seriously. It's like, let's talk about sports. And they're like, yeah, right.
Like you don't know anything about sports.
Yeah. Like, what do you know?
Yeah. What else? What do you guys think, Claire and Summer?
My dream is to work for the NFL or NBA doing marketing for them. And I know that that's going to be definitely very difficult, being as even in my classes, the majority of the people in my classes were male dominant. And teachers kind of overlook the women that are in the class, thinking kind of like, okay, you're just here to get, your curricular and to get your credits. But we actually have things that are really important to say. We understand what's going on. We are no different. We have interests just like you guys do. So it's a little bit more difficult to feel like you're actually being taken seriously. Feel like you're being graded and treated the same as the rest of the students.
And Claire, do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I was in a sports journalism class last semester, and there were 100 people in that class, and I was one of 9 girls in that class, and I felt very overwhelmed. I felt like the discussions were kind of just leaning more towards the men in the class, obviously, because there's more of them, but I felt like us 9 girls, we were kind of hesitant to speak, and it shouldn't be that way. I feel like, if you want to speak, you should speak. And luckily our professor did a good job of, letting us speak if we felt like it. And I just feel like the gap is kind of narrowing, but also we have so much more work to do in the industry.
Yeah.
We just have 4 more steps more that we have to do.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. The weird thing for me, I guess, is that I am around more women at this company. When we have meetings at Barstool Sports, there's always probably 60% women in the conversation. Sometimes maybe half, but usually a vast majority. When I go have meetings either in gaming with the Penn folks or in sports media, I usually am the only woman, I guess. So it is, I don't think things are where they should be, obviously. I never really thought about my gender much, to be honest with you. Sometimes I think you can use being a woman to your advantage. I think guys have it hard too. I mean, I see it here. Like, it's not, there's a lot of hate directed towards white men right now, but I do think there's something really broken in the pipeline where, it's kind of like you guys feeling uncomfortable in your classes as a minority and afraid to speak up and also invalidated or not encouraged, plus your own insecurity on top of that, which everyone, man or woman, has insecurity. It's kind of like those 3 things opt you out into a different place. Like, I think that's one of the bigger issues, is that women just don't feel comfortable and they find a better place of like acceptance and fulfillment. And those are in environments that are probably more balanced. But look, I think women make sports better. I think there's obviously great strides being made. I don't know if great strides is the word. There's more visible coaching talent. There's more women athletes are more visible. Sports business is still really male dominated. And hopefully, by having more people, in programs like ours, like the Viceroy program, or, talking to folks like me, or who can see other women who are kind of trying to walk the path, that gives people confidence that there's a way to get there. I don't really care about, like, I just want to do the work and win. And I feel like that attitude actually has been helpful, because I didn't feel that I was a lesser voice in the room because I was a girl. I did feel like I had to work harder and I couldn't mail it in. Like, I had to do more prep. I had to, like, I remember interviewing Maria Bartiromo, and she from Fox, and she was on the trading floor as a broadcaster when no women were allowed on the trading floor. And she always said she just had to work so much harder, and she knew her shit, and she was, she proved her worth by virtue of what she knew. So my thing for you guys would be, whatever makes you feel most confident in that place, then do that. Well, it might be prep. It might be not caring. It might be finding an ally, whether it's another woman or a man. Like, I think whatever you can do to just stick in a place where people don't look like you and they aren't your same gender, but they do love the same things. And then the more you can do that, then it'll get easier, hopefully. Okay, so regardless of what you're going to do after college, you are assuredly going to be drinking coffee. I love Black Rifle coffee. The thing that's great about Black Rifle is that they are a veteran-owned, American-based company. They serve premium coffee. They've got a bunch of flavors. I was in my group me with Brianna Decker the other day, and she's like, which flavor is your favorite? And I was like, Brianna, do you want some Black Rifle coffee? So we are sending her some today, which we're fired up about. The best part about Black Rifle coffee is it tastes great. It's super premium. And they've donated over 6 million cups of coffee to soldiers, law enforcement, and medical workers through their signature Buy a Bag, Give a Bag initiatives. You can go to blackriflecoffee.com/token and use code TOKEN today to get the freshest coffee in America shipped to you. They also have a coffee club, so you pick your roast. So we'll pick one for Brianna. You decide how much, and then they ship it to you every month, and then they ship it to you every month. So awesome company focused on an amazing cause, helping first responders, law enforcement, and medical workers, and a great cup of coffee to boot.
So obviously, like, our generation, we can look up to Token CEO's Instagram, the podcast, different resources on YouTubers for career advice. Who did you look up to as a 22-year-old when you were kind of searching for what you wanted to do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Who did I look up to? My mom worked, so I always looked up to my mom. And my mom balanced. She was a teacher, so I would watch her work and then take care of us. And my dad had a really strong work ethic, probably like a workaholic. So I definitely looked up to my parents. When I started working, my internship was as a receptionist. So it was like the secretaries, I don't think you can call people secretaries anymore. Can you not say the word secretaries?
I think so, right? I don't see
No, I don't think they use that word anymore.
Oh, I missed that boat.
Yeah, me too. I think they call them executive assistants or whatever.
Oh.
But anyways, it was a secretary pool, and they were so good to me. And they were smart and funny, and they took a lot of bullshit from all the men they were all lawyers. And they were very encouraging. And then I started to, I was talking about this woman the other day. I worked for this woman named Carol Capisi. And she was fabulous and strong, and she had this blonde curly hair, and some people thought she was a total bitch, and some people thought she was brilliant, and I just thought she was so fierce, and I would admire her all the time. So I think you have to I didn't really have the Barbara Corcoran or no one who was public, but I think you can find someone who you look up to in your environment. And sometimes that's way, way more important, is someone who you can see in action. I would study everything that Carol did, what she wore, how she talked, how she would run a meeting, how she dealt with adversity. I studied her 24/7. And to be honest, I was fortunate. I worked for Joanne Bradford. I studied everything Joanne did. I studied everything Hillary Schneider did. All the women who were way, way, way senior to me, I just watched them. And I think that's a good thing to do.
I know with my last question, I asked you, how you run your team and what your leadership style is like, but how do you keep everybody motivated despite obstacles that can come up along the way?
I think you've got to find people to associate with who are really motivated. Like, and I think this is true for you. You guys are at like a really interesting point in time. Like, you've been in a petri dish called college. You've met a lot of people. You've made a lot of mistakes. You've had a lot of fun. Like, you've done some great things. You've learned a lot, obviously. And now your choices like really start to matter because, Claire, you're moving across the country, right? Like, you're going to move across the country. Who are you going to live with? Who are you going to hang out with? Who are you going to date? What's your relationship with your boss going to be like? How are you going to find a mentor? So I think those choices are really important. I like people who are really self-motivated. I like people who want to make things better for themselves, not just because someone's telling them to. I struggle personally with people who are complacent or who just want to mail it in. Like, Barstool's not a place where you can't really come here and mail it in. Like, if you want to be invisible, and there are a lot of people who want to be invisible at work. They want to have a nice 9 to 5. They want to complain about their boss. They want to shop online for half their meetings. Then they want to go home and have a rich personal life. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's cool. Like, work-life balance is important. But I think if you really love work, finding and surrounding yourself with people who also like to work is really important. I also think, look, to motivate people, you have to have all types of rewards, like recognition and promotion and money and more responsibility. Like, I think we're pretty good about that here. We don't always get it right, but and then I also sometimes think that, like, being in a place where you're going to get criticized if you don't do a good job can also be motivating, because, like, someone is, someone's taking the time to call you out on your bullshit, and, like, it hurts and it kind of smarts and you don't like it, but it makes you better. And I think that's, you're also going to you're entering into a place where it's not pass fail, and it's not, the safety net's kind of gone. And I think the thing for women is women sometimes feel so insecure that they don't like to be criticized. And then it becomes like this self-defeating spiral. So you also, I think you've got to, like, girl up. Like, you got to be really tough and say, you know what, I'm in it to win it. Come at me. Tell me how I can do a better job. Study all the people you can. And then to see where you can take, pretty soon, if that works for you and you're in a profession that you love, you'll find yourself moving up the ladder and you're like, God, that didn't even seem like work. What do you think, Frankie? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think the other thing too is building a tribe. Like, you do a great job at building a tribe here, and the people who work for you, I think that, like, people in this company will go to the ends of the earth for you because of the way that you manage them. And I think that that's where a lot of higher up managers kind of just want the people to do the work for them, and so they can just sit on their throne. But building a tribe and being a member of the tribe is just as important. Being a member of the tribe is just as important as the person who built the tribe.
I agree.
If you're not in that inner circle, you're on that outer ring, you're going to have some turbulence going somewhere. So everybody's got to be in that circle to make it work.
That's a great way to put it. So I think that that's really smart, Frankie, because I also think you guys are deciding who your tribe, like, what tribe are you taking with you from college, and what's the new tribe that you're going to choose for yourself. And, like, you're kind of in a, not no man's land, but you have some people have choices. Are you going to surround yourself with a bunch of people who are irresponsible and partying all the time or making bad decisions? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are also super motivated? Are you surrounding yourself with people who treat you well and who are there for you? Like, I really love that about our Barstool tribe, is that, the Barstool tribe is very self-critical, very motivated, very weird. Like, people come from all different places and they kind of, like, come as they are. But when things go wrong, we have such a great tribe. And, like, everyone can be weak and look to the tribe to help them. Like, I feel like that. I feel so grateful for our team. When I'm down, they're there, and you can learn from everyone in the tribe. And I think that that's, if you can find yourself a tribe, it just helps you move along. Like I had dinner the other night with what I would call my women's mafia, like a bunch of women pioneers in different fields. And we had dinner. We hadn't seen each other in probably 2 years. And it was, no one had missed a beat. Everyone was so supportive and insightful, also called each other on our bullshit. And like, if you can have a group of people who have your back, who can be honest with you and love you and be a resource for you, then like, that's great. And these are women I didn't meet till I was in my late 30s. Like, so you'll find these people along your path.
The people you meet outside of college are more important than the people you've met in college, because those are the people who will direct you towards that second half of life.
That's right. And that's a great way to put it. I agree with that. I think that it's very easy leaving college to look back at college and like look at that safety net and have all your value and worth in the people who knew you when, versus like recreating yourself for the now and the next.
I think that's really important to point out, because I feel like growing up, especially maybe in my household or other households, we work so hard to get into college, and then we go through college, we're like, yeah, this is really cool, this is really cool. And then you graduate college, you're like, what's next? Like, because you didn't think you'd get that far because you're working so hard to get to college, and then you do it, and then you're 22 and you're like, yeah, what's next? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's so scary. And when you're scared, people tend to like retrench back into what they know, which is like burying you back into your college life or your college self, or maybe your high school life and your high school self. And I think the thing for women is like, we just have a lot of work to do. So like, you've got to push forward. Like, you have to want to, it gets better for all of us, the more of us who are pushing forward. And I think that's, you know, I always looked at that. Like, I always felt like my parents like went into so much debt to pay for me to go to college, that when women I knew were opting out to go have kids and they were like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I have so much respect for that. Like, that is the hardest job on the planet. I just personally felt like that was, how could I do that after my parents worked so hard for me to get this education? And what was I going to do with it to pay them back in a way? Like, so I think that you've got to honor all the sacrifices, including your own, that have gotten to where you are. And then you also have to believe in yourself and where you want to go. And like, I think that's the other thing that happens after college, which Frankie's closer to college than I am, but
by a little bit,
just a titch. Yeah. Is everybody's paths are going to diverge. You know, like, you probably run in a pack right now. You have a tribe, and people are going to make different choices. And that can also create some insecurity, and, you know, that can be hard. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I've got like some sprinkles of my college tribe.
Yeah.
But since I'd say after 2 years out of school, your main core people stick with you. Some people you just hung out with in college to go drink beers with, and that's fine. Like, that doesn't matter. But like, if you want to get into investing and you want to take yourself to that next level, you need to surround yourself with that circle too. And that circle is not always found in college.
Completely. And then we have, you know, like, one of the things that's funny about Barstool is we have like the post-college college. Like, everyone here acts like they're in college. But like, the other thing that happens is like, I think your first jobs, or Sam, maybe it'll be law school, like, you're going to meet a bunch of people, or people who go to business school. Like, you're going to meet your next group of people, and then you're going to meet the next group of people after that. And you're going to meet and fewer and fewer and fewer people are going to travel with you. But the ones who do are so great. And like, nurturing that small circle, I think, is really important.
So what is your personal motto? What is that one motto that you carry with you every single day that gets you up in the morning, like through your tough times when you feel like just giving up? You know, what gets you going? Like, what's that motto of yours?
I don't know. This is a good question, Sam. Do you have a personal motto?
I don't have a motto, but I do live by this like one quote that I read. So, you know, in the original Alice in Wonderland book written by Lewis Carroll, Alice is lost and she meets the Cheshire Cat, and the cat asks her, like, where are you going? She's like, I have no idea. And then the cat's like, well, then why does it matter? like, go wherever you want to go because you don't know where you're going to go. So I live by that quote. So just like live choice by choice and adapt instead of worrying so much.
That's a good
All
motto.
right,
if you ask
Sam.
me.
Way better answer than I would have come up with in 100 years. My personal motto, I just love life. Like, I just love to work, and it's not even the work. I just like love people. I really genuinely love people and to do things and to make things. So I always want to feel like I'm making something. And even when things are bad or I've made a mistake or things are down or things are awesome, I always wake up the next day and I'm like, what can I make today? Like, can you make someone feel great? Can you make a project? Can you make a connection with someone? I really like to create things, I guess. And I always want to be in a place where I'm either learning or creating something, and usually with someone else. Is that fair? What's your motto, Frankie?
I don't know if I really have one. I think if people had to like wrap me up in like one little ball, they'd just say that I don't give a shit about shit. But we've been over this topic before.
Okay, great. That's a good one. Do you guys have mottos, Summer or Claire?
Mine's just run it.
Run it.
2 words, run it.
Love it.
Mine's Dory's just keep swimming, just because there's really nowhere else to go but forward. So
I love it. That is the theme of this episode. You guys, best of luck to you. Let me know if I can help you, okay?
awesome. Thank you
And
so
congratulations.
So much.
All right,
Thank
you guys are awesome. We'll see you later. All right, that's it for today's episode. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a rating, or give us a review. On Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So Wednesday, tomorrow, we've got another 5K. If you feel like running a 5K with me, sign up for the Cinco de Mayo NRC run. It's presented by High Noon. You can find the link to sign up in the token or in my social bio. I'm at EKA Nardini. Token CEO is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we'll see you here Thursday.